Yo, 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 hey everyone, we are live, second one in 2 weeks now, and super exciting. Now, before I start rambling along for the next 30 to 45 minutes, I just want to make sure that everything is working, that we have audio and image in sync. There's a slight delay between what I'm saying right now and when you see it, but big important thing today is I want to do a Q&A. I want your questions, and at the end of the show or towards the end of this live stream, I'm going to check out what you wrote and hopefully answer most of your guys' questions. So anything, just shoot and put it down in the live chat if you want to, and hopefully I can get to it later on. Now, let me check if everything is working fine. Tell me in the chat right now, please, because I don't know, I'm in this live room and I'm just rambling along and I don't really know if you guys can hear everything all right. But no delay, that's good. I can see you guys chatting in. Everything is perfect this time. Great, audio is fine, and Fred is here as well. That's amazing, cool. I'm just gonna chill out a little bit. Let's wait a little bit to get some people in and see how we go. So, what am I going to talk about today? Well, today we want to talk about some live photo editing. So I'm going to jump into Lightroom straight afterwards and edit some photos, which will be from an upcoming episode. We're just flipping things around a little bit like crazy. But yeah, I want to do 2-3 photos I want to edit, and I'm not going to go into like the whole basics of editing it. There's a few cool techniques that I want to show and that you can hopefully use for your own photography. And yeah, and like I said before, I want to do a bit of a Q&A as well. So if you have any questions, just ask me anything. Just type it into the chat and then just let me know what you think. Also, if there's any problems with the stream throughout, let me know as well. Just let me know, because I'll just jump in to check the stream every now and then and see how it's going. But it's really difficult once I'm in Lightroom. It's really hard for me to see if the stream is failing. So I might jump out and check it out in the meantime. Maybe later on, if I'll get multiple screens, it'll be a bit easier to monitor things. But thanks again for you guys, to everyone who's tuned in right now. That's really amazing. And yeah, keep it up, spread the word, share it if you think it's awesome. The video is going to stay up later on as well. So if you're watching this later on and it's not live anymore, you can still yeah, learn things here. And I'll put some time codes down below as well, so you don't have to sit through a whole 30 minutes of me rambling along. You can find the tutorial and the other topics I want to talk about. Now, one extra thing I want to talk about later on is IGTV, Instagram TV. This is this new thing, hot topic. Everyone is talking about it. And I've watched some really interesting discussions the last few days, and I've held back on it. I've put my first video on, but I guess it's Instagram's take on YouTube, which is exciting. Competition is always good. YouTube is very high up, well, is at the top when it comes to video. And yeah, I'm curious to see. I'll let you know what I think about the whole thing later on. But yeah, let's jump into Lightroom, I would say. Yeah, thanks for everyone jumping in the chat, telling me that everything is fine. That is amazing. It's good to see that it's working. All right, let's jump into Lightroom. Okay, I have a bit of a workaround to get into this, so excuse any problems that we have. Okay. All right, I hope you can see my Lightroom now. So these are 2 photos. I might add a third one that we want to edit later. So last weekend I went and climbed the Zugspitze, Germany's highest mountain, with one of the guys who's in the chat right now, hey Fred, and another guy, Pascal, and yeah, we spent 2 days climbing to the top, and so much fun, really. It wasn't a difficult hike. It wasn't, it wasn't a big adventure, but it was just great company. 2 friends joining me up to this mountain. Well, I joined them actually, and yeah, we just had a great time. We had a lot of beers and just enjoyed the hike, and it's a super scenic, beautiful hike, whereas the summit of the mountain is not exactly exciting or nothing special, but the hike itself, going through the gorge with the raging water coming through, was amazing. And then we spent the night halfway up in a hut, which is amazing hot as well, all the facilities. I never expected that. And then you continue up through this beautiful landscape like you can see right here. That's just beyond the hut in the morning, and you can see that yeah, you just basically climb into that cloud you can see in the back. So really really cool climb, and you got some steel metal bars that you climb up. It's not technical or anything like that, and there's a lot of people doing it, especially on a nice weekend like this, but it was amazing. It was really worth it, and if you're ever in the south of Germany, it's a cool thing to do. We were going to go to the bottom of the mountain as well, hike back down, but we sort of felt lazy, and right at the top there's a big massive lift that can take you down. So yeah, lazy adventurers, I guess. So yeah, today I want to edit this photo. This is the final edited photo, but I'm going to jump into that one later on as well. And here's a special technique I want to show you how to make the most out of shooting in really bad light. Now before we go ahead, I'm going to jump back into the chat, just have a quick look to make sure that you guys are, everything is working fine. Okay, nice. Enjoy the ice cream, Teddy. Back into Lightroom. Okay, so this is the raw shot. So I made a copy of my edit, and we're going to try and recreate the edit. It's going to be quite difficult to get exactly the same result, but you can see there's a bit of things that have happened here, and if you look at the raw, there's like a lot more color in there than in the edit almost. So exciting thing here. And the same with the second one. So this is the edit, and you can see there I actually removed Pascal, the poor guy, and lots of color is out, and this is obviously shot in the middle of the day, so we're going to have to do our best to take out the best possible image out of this. So I'm going to jump back into the first image, looking up the valley, and press D to get into develop, and just have a quick look. So I'm going to save myself some time and encourage you guys to buy my presets. Like I said, I'm going to skip all the basic editing, shifting the contrast, highlights, and doing all the curve stuff. I've got tutorials on that. Check them out on my YouTube channel. There's a whole video playlist with photo editing tutorials and tips. So the first one, I'm basically going to use my mountain preset pack, which I've linked down below, and I think there's a card as well with it. And we're going to start off with ice. So that is my starting point. It's a pretty good starting point already. I'm pretty happy with that. And the first thing I always do is correct my orientation. I have a real bad tendency to shoot photos in a crooked way. And the best way to find out if your photo is crooked is if you have some trees in it. Trees tend to grow quite vertically. So I'm lining this up with that tree on the right side there, this one here, and just making sure that the image looks fine. Okay. I really waited for this guy to go across the bridge, and I shot a whole series of it, but now we're going to push some contrast in there and make him pop a little more compared to other things in the image. So I'm going to go up here, and we'll start off with highlights. Now I know the video and audio might be a little bit delayed, so I hope you can still follow along with this. So we're going to go into, bring the highlights down a little bit, and I'm just going to reset my vibrance as well, and we're going to come down to the HSL panel, the hue, saturation, and luminance panel, where I'll be working on individual colors. So I've started off with quite a desaturated image already. All of these are set to at least -30, if not more. Okay, the purple, not that much purple in here. We'll drag that down as well. And we'll start with those mountains. I actually quite like taking out the orange a little bit and just make those mountains look a little more old. Orange and yellow we'll have in there. Okay, I'm editing this as I go. I was going to prepare myself and do this, but I'm editing as I go, so let me know. What am I saying is that, you know, if things go wrong, that's because it's not prepared. One of the things I like to play around with is split toning. There's quite a strong split toning in this preset, so I'm going to dial that down a bit, and then go back up to the white balance to bring the greens back into the image a bit more, and maybe cool it down a little. There we go. This looks pretty good to me right now. So the basic edit is done. This could have taken me a lot longer if I had not done any of the other stuff. But now what I really want to do is create more depth and contrast. So we want this guy here to really stand out a lot more, and maybe get rid of some of that distraction in the foreground, especially here. Not too happy with that at all. So what I'll start doing is by pressing M, I can get the graduated filter, and I'm just going to drag up from the bottom somewhere like this. Always go a little more than you would think, because from this line to that line, it goes from 100% to 50, which is the middle, to 0%. So we can, you know, around here the effect is going to be very weak, and here it's going to be very strong. So if you stretch this out, the transition isn't as bad. Whereas if we go and compress it, then that transition is going to be very strong. Now, once we've got this applied, I'm going to bring down my exposure like crazy. So really creating a little more mystery to this shot. And we're going to take care of this guy later on. And I'm going to lift my blacks. Yeah. And drop the exposure. What does that do? It reduces contrast. It's similar to doing this. Okay, but it gives me more control over that. So I'm going to raise my blacks a little more and bring the exposure down even more. Okay, we're going to do this bit by bit until we're happy. So happy with this one. Now my next favorite tool is the the circular, wait, let me get to it. The radial filter. So it's Shift M. I love shortcuts and I'll try to remember them all. And what we have to do is create more contrast in this area. So I'm going to outline that shadow at the top, so that where the transition is here. And I'm going to come in and just increase or decrease my contrast, bring this down and the blacks up. And I'm going to put in a little bit of clarity. You might know I'm not a big fan of clarity, but that's okay. And we'll push in those whites to get rid of so pop out those rocks in the background and drop the shadows a little more. So it's a super subtle thing. I can turn it off. It's super subtle, but it makes that guy pop out even more. I'm going to do this one more time just on him. So do a radial filter, and I'm going to pump some more clarity. Blacks up, no, blacks down and whites up. And there we go. Now he stands out a little more. And I can show you, there we go, the before and after the radial filters. And that's pretty much it. I'm pretty happy with the image in general. Maybe we can work a little bit on the sky. Composition wise, if I do to the crop tool, it's super centered, still feels quite nicely balanced, got lots of leading lines, and our elements are in the right place. We have a nice division into three. We have this bottom area, then we have the middle mountain area, and the mountains and the sky at the top with the beautiful clouds hanging in there. Now let's bring some more definition into the clouds by dropping the brightness of the blues. So there we go. I can go wild and do this, and we'll have a lot more color, but I like to keep things subtle as possible. Let's see, it's always worth playing with the colors next to the main color that you're working with, just to see what's happening. If there's any presence there. No purple, but we could definitely see some aqua. It's definitely happening there. That's pretty cool. And I would say that's it. Maybe let's work a little more on this guy by going in. And there we go. My computer's having a hard time streaming. Okay, I just pushed in a little more white. And there we go. Maybe one more. Okay, before I switch to the next one, excuse me. One last darkening at the bottom just to get rid of that distraction and suck us more into the image. And there we go. I'm happy with that. Excuse me. Just going to jump into the chat quick, make sure everything is working. Looks good. Duh. Good. Okay, let me know in the chat if there's any problems. I'm just going to jump in every now and then. That's just how I have to do it at the moment. And that looks fine. Okay, let's jump to the next image. Okay, this is the final result we're looking for. This is the starting point. So shot excuse me, mid-morning, we are going to go and check this. Oh, if I press I a couple of times. This is shot at 8 o'clock in the morning, but this is one of the longest days of the year, so actually already quite harsh sunlight. And it was quite a bit of work to get this photo to look half decent. I did ask Fred to climb on the left side here just because there's a bit of a isolation, excuse me, a bit of an isolation here, and we had the sunlight hitting those rocks nicely, so we had high contrast with him casting shadows, and he's got lots of color in a fairly bright area, so we can really play with that. So before I even took this photo, I realized this is a great spot to put a person, so that's where we started. Pascal, we are just simply going to remove out of this shot and just add a little more adventure, because he is basically just standing around doing nothing. So first of all, Q to get to the spot removal tool, and I'm just going to be very lazy here. We can get away with a lot in this shot, and I think, let's find the right place. That looks about right. Now I'm going to do a little, whoops, more correction. Okay, very fast and smudgy job, but that'll do. And again, I'm going to use one of my mountain presets. Again, they're linked down below. If you want to use them, you can buy them. Boom. I'm going to use rock, I think. Looks great. Press I to get rid of the text. And now one of the things here is with split toning, it basically layers itself over everything, and you get, sometimes you get a strong hue in the highlights or in the shadows, which is what you want. But I try to get my clouds or my sky to be fairly neutral. Now, a good way to find out if your clouds are neutral or not is to use the white balance picker, which is at the very top, or you can just press W and you hover over a theoretically neutral area and you look at the RGB values. So we have the red, the greens, and the blues. And we can see in this case that if we look at the percentage below it, we have 83 for the blues, 85 for the greens, and 82. So there's slight lack of red and a little bit of too much green in there if you want. So what we can do here is, let's dial down the split toning a little bit. Okay, now we definitely have too much red in it. Well, it's fairly neutral, so that's a surprise. To my eye, this looks very red. Now, a good way to make sure that nothing's out of place with the colors is just bring out a different background color. Let's bring light gray into the image, maybe some medium gray. I'm going to say light gray. And we can see that the gray between the cloud and the background is fairly similar. So we've actually got a neutral gray here, which is a good way of visually seeing that. Now, it's not that easy in this shot because there's lots of other color going on, but it's a good way to find out if your colors are neutral or not. Now, I still think there's a bit of magenta there, and I think that's in the shadows. There we go. So I'm going to pull back the split toning in the shadows as well, and just get that white balance picker there. So that's fairly close. We can dial down the greens a bit by increasing this a couple of jumps, and that is about as close as I want to get. I like the slight green layer on here, the green look. Now, what happened to Fred down here? He's kind of lost. And how do I solve high contrast areas like this? Is by using a radial filter, Shift M again, and I will come in and draw it down at the bottom, and I will do the general area where we have too much contrast going on, and I'll do the same as I did before. So I'm going to drop the exposure and bring up those blacks, and you can see how the shadows and the midtones are compressing. They're coming back together in this area, which means we have less contrast, and the harshness of that area sort of disappears. It's really useful if you're shooting in harsh daylight, and you can push it quite far. But like with everything, let's not go too far. I'm going to push those shadows up a bit as well. Great. Now, because I've desaturated the blues quite heavily in my preset here, maybe I'll bring them up a bit. Just be careful the sky doesn't become this blue area. But I'd like to bring his helmet out, and then I'm just going to do a graduated filter, so with M, and just pull that down and desaturate the sky a little. Quite a lot. Let's go somewhere there. Okay, the next thing I'll do is maybe I'll work a little on him, just get that, make sure that the area around him and where he is are the brightest and the darkest places put together. So that'll create the highest point of contrast in this image, which means our eye is naturally drawn to it. So we're going to help the composition a little bit. It's not, you know, I'm just going to increase some clarity, do some dehazing, drop the blacks, and increase the whites. And now you can see that everything else around him, his backpack is really black, his pants and whatever he's wearing in the front is really black, but then those shadows here are not so black. So we're going to zoom out and look how he pops in this shot. Amazing. Not so bad. Okay, jump to full screen mode. I'll transition myself. There we go. Okay, so I'm seeing... Yeah, we're losing frames. Oh, my connection is suffering. Sorry guys, I hope you could jump back. The video is going to be available afterwards as well, so you can still watch the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. If you could follow along, I really hope this worked. Let me know again. I'm still working on this live streaming thing. The problem with this is always that you set it up, you do it, and then you know, the testing works fine, and then you go live and everything just falls apart while you're doing it. But that's what it is, right? So yeah, I talk a little bit about the presets. Like I said, if you head to my website, they're linked down below. There's a preset pack, so you can pick them up. It's a great way to support my work. If you enjoy what I do, check out the episodes as well, the adventure photography and location episodes. I've linked a couple down as well. There's going to be one where I shoot these photos. It's not as technically photography as other episodes, but I think it'll be a nice cinematic episode, and I think it'd be kind of fun to watch. And yeah, okay. So like I said, leave me some questions. If you have any questions besides complaining about the live stream, drop them down in the side. I know it's a problem right now, and I'm really sorry about that. But yeah, if it's too bad, I recommend watching it again in an hour or so when the video is live. But I want to talk a little bit about IGTV, Instagram TV, which is this new thing that Instagram just released. It's Instagram television, basically. They've made a side app where you can upload between, what is it? Well, 30 seconds or 1 minute to 10-minute videos. So it's sort of an extension of the stories feature, which I really love stories. But the Instagram TV has gotten quite a bit of criticism because one of the main features, which is the same thing that everyone's criticizing, is the upright mode. Every video has to be upright. They are saying we are consuming our videos like this, so we need to be creating videos like this, and they are forcing us this way. Now, this is consumer driven, and I'm not too sure if I really want this that way. So yeah, I'm just checking the live stream. It's falling apart a little bit, but that should be all right. So yeah, like I said, it's a consumer driven thing. Instagram has built the story feature, which is this 30-second thing where people upload little snippets of whatever they're doing. And I think, well, 15 seconds actually. And I think that has works really well because we're all following these people, and we get this little insight into what everyone's doing around the world. And it's really great. You get a snippet and you get to the next person and again another snippet and another snippet. It's a really cool way to follow, to keep up with what other creators are doing or what creators are doing around the world. But I don't actually think that the full story, the full TV mode where these stories have been expanded to up to 10-minute episodes is going to work in the same way. I'm not too sure about the vertical video mode. Our eyes are made to look at things horizontally. They are left and right, not up and down. And framing a composition and creating content is just a lot easier if you're working on a horizontal plane. And it's the way we are meant to see and the way films are meant to be made. And I don't agree with consumer-driven restrictions for creators in that way. So do we really want to have this, or is this something that Instagram has decided for us because they see that a lot of people are watching stories? Are they going to offer alternatives? I wonder. And people are saying, look, well, you can create upright stuff. You can also make it horizontal and turn your phone, and you'll be fine. But I don't think that it's not really what the Instagram TV is made for. So I don't know. But then if you're watching a 1 minute or anything above 1 minute, you may as well turn your phone. I can understand it in an Instagram story where you get 15 seconds clips that turning your phone is annoying. You know, you don't want to be checking and turning it the next time the other way. That's not so much fun. But if you're watching a 30-second plus video, if you're watching a 5-minute video, turn your phone. You watch YouTube as well. But I think the result of this, I mean, what's going to happen is that I mean, the point, I guess, is to take a chunk of YouTube, the big dominant in this industry. But I don't think that they're targeting it in the same way, and I think it'll separate content that is created for stories for Instagram TV is going to be very different from what we see on YouTube. And the one reason for that is the way we find things. So I think YouTube, we are looking for things that YouTube is a platform where we look for what we're searching. So I want to find a tutorial, I want to educate myself, I want to find out something, I will go to YouTube and search for it. On Instagram, that's not possible. You follow people and you're basically forced to watch what they are putting out there. And if it becomes a long thing where it's 3 to 10 minutes or whatever, then it's going to be a big battle of retaining your audience as a creator on this platform, because people will just swipe. It's like a TV channel where you just, this is boring, this is boring, this is boring. And if you're not a 200% entertainment factor at all times, I don't think the stories or the TV will work. So I don't know if it's a smart move or not. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments as well, if you're watching this later, what you think about Instagram TV. And I'm still thinking, what can I create as a creator in a vertical aspect ratio? And do I have to start filming everything twice now, upright and panorama? Or yeah, am I just going to crop out? Or am I just going to use a part of the screen and then use the other remaining part of my screen to display different angles or different information, split it up a bit? I think that's kind of interesting. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how it's going to go. And the other thing is Instagram going to make this worth it for people? Are they going to pay us? So YouTube is great. You have advertisers. On my level, it doesn't matter, but you get money for what you're doing. But on Instagram, there's no such thing. So we are still relying on other businesses paying us through whatever we're doing on Instagram. But Instagram itself is not monetizing this platform yet. So it's very interesting to see what they will do with that. And I'm curious. Like I said, let me know down below what you think of it. Besides, like, oh, it's boring, it's upright. I'd like to, hear what kind of content you imagine could do well on Instagram TV, IGTV. Cool. That's it for this live stream. 30 minutes. I'm a bit shorter than last time, which is good. Trying to keep it concise. I don't know if the chat died or if we're getting any questions. But I think I'm going to wrap it up here. That's cool. And maybe we can do the question thing later on through a different way. And yeah, I thank everyone for tuning in on the live session. If you're watching this later on, thanks for sitting here for 30 minutes, watching me ramble along. And yeah, technical difficult, I'm sorry about that kind of stuff. I'm fixing it every week. This is going to get better. And yeah, cool. All right. Thanks for tuning in. And like I said, lots of links down in the description. If you want to support my channel, check out the preset packs. If you're not into photography, which I doubt because we did some live editing, and if you're still here, then I think you're into photography. But if you want to support my channel in a different way or my work, then I have my Patreon page as well. Just head over there. It's also linked down below. It's a great way to, support my work without wanting to buy presets. And yeah, follow me on social media, Chris Eyre-Walker, pretty much everywhere. Also, all linked down below. Until that's it. I think we're gonna call it a day here. And thanks for tuning in. Awesome.